I've got a 4.7 Sport Shift Vantage. Sort of repressed petrol head, really. I used to modify and build cars when I was a kid. So taking engines out, changing cylinder heads, twin carbs, all that kind of stuff on minis and things. Rebuilt an Austin Healey from the ground up. And then I think I had a Renault 5 GT Turbo back in the mid-80s when they came out. And then like kids arrive and company cars arrive and it's like everything stops. And then the kid's grown up and you don't need to be dad's taxi anymore. Suddenly like, hang on a minute, I've got a bit of money and I've always wanted to do this. And it was like, right, okay, so I'm going to choose something. What am I going to have? And I just thought that, you know, looking at the various brands that are out there, what was the best one? What was the almost the safest one? And you know, I've said this to a couple of people before, but Aston Martin just has the lowest knob factor of the brands out there. It's like, you know, everybody loves it. So I started looking at Aston Martins, and that's how I started. Yeah, so I'd started probably like a lot of people do. I was looking at, you know, how much do they cost and what are the prices and the mileage and all that kind of thing. And I was probably looking, you know, mid-low 30s, and I couldn't find an interesting colour. I thought some of the colours are really boring. I think there's a tungsten silver that looks like a dull brown when it's dirty, or silver or black, and it's like, these are really boring. If you're going to have a supercar, you've got to sort of stand out a little bit and make it a bit exciting. And I think there was a Ferrari silver that had blue in it that was really nice but very rare. And I'd looked for ages and ages, hadn't seen the thing, and I suddenly thought, what if I just spend more? And went up to the 45 mark and realised I could get 4.7 rather than a 4.3 and then spend lots modifying. I thought I might as well have 4.7. And I'd test driven a 4.7 manual anyway, so I sort of got an idea what it was like. And I got an idea that the blue was the interesting colour. I think mine's glacier blue. It's a lovely light metallic blue. And what's so nice about it is everybody says how beautiful the car is. I mean, guys leaning out of vans giving it the thumbs up. Girls always say how beautiful it is. It's really cool. Yeah, so my car's a Sport Shift car. I mean, I've had it quite a while now, so I don't actually remember when I went to see it. I don't think I knew what Sport Shift was at that point. So I'd driven a manual one. I hadn't driven the sort of robotised manual, the automated manual. And so I went to see this car. I was more interested in what was the mileage, what was the condition, and the guy was driving it. I see it was this, you know, Sport Shift. Seemed to be fine to me. When I drove it, it was fine, so no big deal. Didn't alter my buying decision, and the car performed absolutely fine. Okay, so I think I must have had the car about 4 years now, and I think it had 16,000 miles on it when I got it, and it's coming up to 36 now. So I'm doing a fair mileage. I use the car pretty regularly. I don't commute, I work from home, so day to day we use a little run around, but if I'm going on longer trips, then I'll take out the Aston for sure. So I'd try and use it. If I had client meetings, I always take the Aston with me. You know, that's whether you're in business, people want to see, you know, are you reasonably successful? You don't want to turn up in a beaten old Cortina or something like that. So it's always been received really positively. So yeah, so decent business trips, pleasure trips, yeah, I always take the Aston. Yeah, so the Sport Shift works pretty well. I think there's a couple of things with it though. One is that when I first had the car, sometimes I'd flick the paddles into neutral, drift up to the lights, and then listen to the radio, whatever. I'd forget that I was in neutral. Press the accelerator and the engine would rev and then nothing would happen. And then you'd have to wait while the rev counter went back down so that you could get into gear and drive away again, which is quite embarrassing. So I noticed there was that, And the other thing I noticed, that if you went up to, say, 7,000 RPM and then pulled the paddle to change gear, the system would wait until the revs had dropped to 5,000 before changing up. So it made if you went over 5,000 RPM, the shift time got much longer. And I assume that was just the car programmed that way to protect the clutch. So you didn't smack 420 horsepower through it. But of course it alters the experience of driving the car. So I talked to the guys at Bamfordrose, and we talked about what could be done, and I went for the lightweight flywheel twin plate clutch, and it completely transformed the car. Really smooth, really fast. It goes up to the red line, pull the paddle, goes bang. Really, really cool. And the performance it liberated was unreal. I mean, standard sport shift was fine, and then it just takes the car to another level. And it's almost crazy how those two components change the car so much. I mean, if you'd said to me beforehand it will, I was like, okay, but it's actually, you have to experience it. The first time I think I went up to 7,000, was it 7.3, the red line? Pull the trigger, bang, up the next gear, and you suddenly realise how much faster the car goes when you can actually use the performance that's actually been designed into it. And that was quite an eye-opening experience, and I still love doing that. Just you can't do it in too many places. So yeah, I've also had I think it's called the Bamfordrose Stage 1. That's there's an airbox modification that they do, sports cats on the exhaust side of the engine, and then the ECU, I think they call it a reflash, like a remap thing to make everything work better together. And what it gives you is quite a nice change of exhaust note as well. So if you put that together with the lightweight flywheel twin plate clutch and use the full rev range and full power, then it really does transform the car, and it puts a smile on your face every time. Well, it does to me anyway. Small boy in older person's body, but yeah, it's great fun. Great fun. Yeah, so where I live in Hertfordshire, the roads are pretty congested. So actually, although the petrol heads would all keel over, I actually leave the car in comfort and drive on congested roads, and I just let the car do it. It's just easy, just turn the steering wheel. But when you get out onto the open road and you can actually use the paddles, it's a lot more fun. So I've got friends in Mid Wales. We like going over to see them. Unfortunately, I do have a speed regulation device that sits in the passenger seat, so I need to get out without that being there. We are going to do the North Coast 500 up in Scotland. That's going to be cool, so a lot of A-roads there. But yeah, that's what the car's designed for. I think it's a perfect A-B road car where you can see and you can use the performance. It's not really something, I mean, I have used it in heavy traffic because I have to, but it's not really where, the car wants to get up and go, and that's what you want to do with it. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it long term. At the moment, I don't want to sell it. There's more I'd like to do to it. There's from what I understand, there's loads more performance that can come out of the standard car, which is great. If I had a fantasy Aston Martin, it'd be the DBS. I don't think it's the James Bond thing. It's just that little bit different from the DB9. And if I had the DBS, I would actually go for a manual. I think that would be my, the next level up, and it would have to be. I'd give it to a certain well-known company to play with, and to get the most out of it, release the beast within, as it were. That would be very, very cool, and it'd probably hold its value pretty well too, because I don't think there's that many manual DBSs around. So yeah, that's probably the dream one. But for now, I'm happy with the V8. It's actually more than enough performance for me, and it's really good. It's pretty reliable. I think we had the last service 10,000 miles ago, and we're looking at getting the next one slotted in on time, and mind a list of things, but nothing really major.